So you want to be a freelance photographer because you're a storyteller, you're creative, and you're a dreamer. You're idealistic and a visionary. But if we can be real for a moment, you also need to make a stable living. You have bills like everyone else, maybe even a family to support. You may have high-flown ideas, but you can't afford to be completely impractical. In this video, I'm going to talk through some money and business tips that will help you not only build a sustainable freelance photography business, but help you have the peace of mind that you'll need to be able to make ends meet. Despite over a decade as a professional photographer, I still stress about the uncertainty of entrepreneurship. And it's not like my husband's income is stable either. If you don't already know, we're a husband and wife photography team. On this channel, we share practical photography and business tips, as well as gear reviews based on our own experience. The biggest barrier initially for us going full-time self-employed was financial uncertainty. And the biggest stressor we still have to this day is probably money. Yes, even now, when we have over a 10-year track record of our ability to run a profitable photography business. Even when we have a clear handle on our expenses, required income, accounts receivable, and data about all these things year over year. That's why the first thing I'm going to talk about in this video is mindset. Now, while I do believe in mindfulness and the power of positive thinking, that's not what I'm talking about. When it comes to mindset, I'll quote the podcaster John Deloney: "Facts are your friends." Our fear can be powerful, and it commonly lies to us. So when we're worried about money, we need to ask for the facts and then determine if we should actually be worried. Everyone, even our friends with real jobs, have different risk tolerance, and we're all surrounded by things we can't control. People can get fired, laid off, replaced, even from so-called stable jobs. But there are things we can control, and that's checking the facts, which is what most of the rest of the tips in this video will be about. If we check the facts, track our income, and have a handle on our expenses, then we can worry less because we know that there's less to be worried about. So when Mark or I have days when we start to stress about money and daydream about getting real jobs with benefits, we try to remind ourselves to look at the facts. Facts like, is the grass actually greener on the 9-to-5 side of things? And are we actually in a place where we need to panic? To be perfectly transparent, this is still something I struggle with. As ex-engineers, we have all the spreadsheets and data and facts, but when a health crisis hits or we move states or try to pivot our business, those fears pop up every time. So let's dive into the data that we use to help us take the health pulse of our business. If you're not already tracking the numbers, it's time to start. First, you need to know what you spend and what you need to make. That way you can answer the question, can I make enough money doing this? Track all expenses and use those numbers to determine a required income. Right now, this is an actionable tip. I want you to set a minimum monthly revenue goal based on your fixed and variable costs. Now, if you don't know how much work you need to bring in, then you'll want to watch my video on creating profitable photography packages, where we talk more about this. I'll link it here. Or check out our money and gear guide at bergenphotography.com/money. Next, you need to track what's due and when. You need to keep tabs on what's owed to you. Cash flow is one of the trickiest aspects of freelance photography, especially if clients pay late or your work is very seasonal like ours is. You need to track your accounts receivable, the money that's owed to you but hasn't been paid yet. Using client management tools to track your invoicing, automate reminders, and keep your records clean can really help with that. I also recommend a breakdown by month. A monthly breakdown helps you forecast what cash is coming in and when. While we've always used and tracked accounts receivable, I've historically tracked it for the year. The result has been that I'm stressed about whether we'll make the yearly income goal until about October, at which point I feel good about this year and start stressing about next year. When my own business coach suggested tracking monthly, I initially resisted since our work is so seasonal. I thought it wouldn't make sense. But I soon realized that it doesn't matter if we make most of our money in certain months. Knowing what we have booked helps us better predict cash flow, as well as know where and when and what months to focus our time. So right now, here's another actionable tip. I want you to write down your accounts receivable. What do you notice? How much future work do you have booked? How much past work are you waiting for payment on? Maybe you need to look at your payment terms. I'm thinking about doing another video on payment terms for freelance photographers, so if that's something that interests you, let me know in the comments below. And if these numbers I'm asking you to write down are hard to find, make a note to investigate client management tools that would work for you. If you notice, I'm giving you actionable tips, and if you can't take an action right now, then you need to organize things a little bit better so that you have these numbers at your fingertips. That will help with that whole mindset thing I talked about in the beginning. Next up, let's look back to look forward. Tracking year-over-year data is crucial to measure the growth of your business. Comparing your income and expenses month by month and then comparing it year over year gives you insights to whether your business is truly growing. For example, if you earned $60,000 in 2023 and $55,000 in 2022, that's a 9% growth. This helps you gauge whether your rates need to be increased or if you need to tweak your business model. And it also helps give you that peace of mind that, hey, last year we made our income goals. We'll probably make them this year too because we're doing the same sort of thing. So it helps give you that data facts to your friends. Let's talk about profitable versus non-profitable work. Year-over-year tracking also helps you figure out what types of photography gigs are bringing in the most revenue. Maybe you love shooting weddings, but the hourly rate for your headshots is actually more profitable. Knowing this can help you decide where to focus your efforts. Maybe you're trying to pivot your business to earn more income from certain type of work. You can track that progress. So here's another actionable tip, but this one might be a little bit harder to do right now. Create an annual profit and loss statement if you don't already have it, so that you can visually track your growth. And then look at the trends year over year and adjust next year's budget accordingly. Now let's talk about how to handle the highs and lows. How can we stabilize our income to deal with these fluctuations that come with freelance work? When it comes to dips in business, as a freelancer, you're going to experience slow periods. It's part of a cycle. The key is having a financial cushion or stable sources of income to ride out those times. You can also diversify your income streams to help stabilize things. For example, you could have stock photography sales, print sales, or workshops that you're teaching that can provide extra cash during slower months when you're maybe not shooting as many sessions. I love the idea of some reliable and stable income sources to balance the more seasonal work. Another good thing to think about is repeat business. Having good client relationships is a great way to get repeat business and help stabilize your income. You can also look at setting up retainer contracts with some of your clients. For example, an ongoing contract with a brand for monthly product photos or a local business for regular headshots. So as an actionable tip, consider different ways to financially handle the ups and downs of your business. Will you put 10 to 15% of every paycheck into a savings account for those slower months or emergency expenses? Or will you keep a certain amount of money in your checking account to handle the highs and lows? Maybe call it a highs and lows fund or a rainy day fund. Tracking monthly income and expenses, as I talked about previously, will help you know how much cash you might need to cover the slower months. And also that year over year, month to month tracking will help you know which months you might need to cover. Having that financial cushion will help take the stress out of slower seasons. I also find that it's imperative to get your personal expenses in order too. That way there's less pressure on your business. We choose to pay ourselves a modest and conservative salary until we know that we're having a good year. And then we can give ourselves a mid-season raise or an end of the year bonus. On the personal side of things, we know what our monthly income can cover, and then we have financial goals for any extra money that we're able to bring home later. Which brings us to the final topic, cutting unnecessary costs. It's important to avoid overspending on gear. As photographers, it's easy to fall into the trap of constantly upgrading gear. But every time you purchase a new camera, lens, or accessory, you need to make sure it's an investment that will actually help you earn more money. Before you buy new gear, ask yourself, do I really need this right now? Will it directly improve my work or allow me to charge higher rates? Check out Mark's video on setting a budget for photography gear. He gives lots of great tips in that video and others on how to choose your camera gear and make sure that it's actually adding value to your business. You can also look at your operational costs. Looking at your ongoing business costs like subscriptions to software or website hosting and marketing, you can see if you can trim any of those costs without sacrificing quality. For instance, instead of paying for premium software features you don't need, maybe you can downgrade or switch to more affordable alternatives. Right now, here's another actionable tip. Pull out your business expenses and notice which categories seem high. Did you intentionally spend that money? Do you know what you spent it on? If you regularly audit your business expenses, at least every 6 months, preferably every quarter, or let's not go crazy here, but what about once a month? Then you can see where you're at. You can see where you need to cut back. Even small savings can add up over time. We like to set a budget at the beginning of the year based on previous year's budgets. Then every month we have a budget meeting to review and make sure we're on track. Some categories are high certain years, such as when we need to replace a camera or a computer. But the more you track your expenses, the better you get at predicting them. And then that goes all the way back to knowing how much income we need to make. And then those facts will all help us know how healthy our business is. So in conclusion, I hope these tips will help you keep your freelance business financially healthy. To recap, managing the money side of your freelance photography business comes down to knowing your expenses, tracking your income and accounts receivable, and having a strategy for stable cash flow. By tracking your year-over-year growth, keeping unnecessary costs low, and building up a financial cushion, you can ensure that your business remains profitable even when the workload fluctuates. Additionally, having all of this data at your fingertips will help you have a realistic grasp on your situation. Some of us have a scarcity mentality and worry that there's never enough. I love the idea of an abundance mentality. But when it comes to business, I really love the idea of an educated guess mentality, where we use the data to assure ourselves when we're on the right track. We can tell our fear that it's okay. We know it's scary, but we have the data to back it up that we're gonna be okay. So one final tip. Stay on top of your finances by reviewing your numbers regularly. That's the only way to spot problems early and make adjustments before they become bigger issues. I hope this helps you take control of your freelance photography finances. If you're serious about building a sustainable business, start tracking your numbers today. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know your biggest financial challenge in the comments below so I can use it to help make more videos for you. Up next, don't forget to check out Mark's video on setting a budget for camera gear. I'll see you over there.